8 spine-chilling house horror stories. Discover the cursed secrets we unearthed in our new home. The Martinez family thought they had found their dream home in the quiet suburb of Maplewood. But as they stepped inside their dilapidated fixer-upper, a wave of dread washed over them. The walls seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Debris stirred under their feet like whispers of the past. "This is a steal," Adam exclaimed. Yet even Mia felt a shiver creep down her spine when she first laid eyes on the dark, jagged hallway. Little did they know, a nightmare lay just beneath the surface. Settling in, they excitedly ripped down peeling wallpaper and laughed over splotches of paint. But as night fell, the house transformed. The lights flickered ominously at midnight, while gusts of cold wind whispered secrets in the empty rooms. Mia chalked it up to typical old house issues, sharing her renovations on social media with an excited caption that completely masked the unease clinging to her heart. Then came the flickers, quick flashes of something in her periphery gone in a heartbeat. Days turned to weeks, and tensions swirled like the unsettling drafts in the rooms. As Adam stubbornly dismissed Linda's fascination with the house's history, Mia felt an unusual draw to the oppressive shadows lurking in their new home. What was it that curled darkly in her mind? A book of whispers locked behind layers of dusty time. It was like breathing in cold air that prickled her skin, a fear she couldn't quite shake. One rainy afternoon, while exploring the cramped basement, Mia stumbled upon an aged, leather-bound journal. The pages were yellowed and brittle, each word dripping with the cultish tales of the past, a local group believed to perform dark rituals under a full moon for prosperity. As her heart raced, she turned the pages, horrified by the descriptions that felt all too close, all too real. Shadows danced along the basement walls as if something objected to her presence. Her next post was different. Darkly captivating, is my home hiding secrets beyond repair? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That evening, a storm gathered outside, thrashing against the windows. As Linda turned to show Adam the journalist's ancient script, the lights flickered more violently, and the shadows deepened ominously around them. Just then, Mrs. Hargrove, the woman next door, appeared at their door, her smile too wide, eyes too piercing. "You might want to consider giving that house some love," she said, her voice laced with an unsettling sweetness, sending chills racing up Mia's spine. Adam's protective instincts kicked in. "We're fine, thanks," but his tone held unspoken threats. With a roiling storm outside, the whispers grew louder, filling the air with chilling echoes of the past. Doors creaked open as the pages of the journal flapped in a sudden gust. The family stood paralyzed. The house around them seemed to breathe, heavy and alive. And just like that, as they stared into the shadows, a figure appeared, a blurred shape at the end of the hallway, waiting. The atmosphere thickened, and dread clung to every surface like cobwebs. They had unwittingly awakened something, a truth so profound, it rippled through their bones. Would they dare confront the darkness, or become part of its story forever? The figure at the end of the hallway shifted, a sinuous shadow that seemed to ripple with the flickering light. Mia's heart hammered violently against her ribcage. She fought the urge to scream but found herself frozen, every nerve ending sparking with dread. Adam stepped forward, a brave front masking the fear emanating from his rigid shoulders. "Is anyone there?" he called, his voice trembling despite his bravado. The only answer was the howling wind outside, squeezing through the frail gaps in the house. The shadow didn't move, didn't answer. It lingered like a swinging pendulum, teasing them with its ominous promise. "Come on, let's turn on the lights," Mia whispered, stepping back, but Adam shook his head. "We have to see what this is." He took another step into the darkness, and the air thickened, electric and charged, wrapping around them in a suffocating embrace. Mia glanced at the journal. Its pages seemed to shake under an invisible force. She struggled to focus, the dark tales she'd read melding with her racing thoughts. Shadows, rituals, howling winds. They had stumbled upon something ancient, something unearthed and clamoring for attention. Just as the figure flickered and began to solidify, a loud crash resounded from the basement, echoing up the stairs like the urgent call of a siren. Adam jumped, and for a split second, the apparition vanished, leaving only the weight of their dread behind. Mia looked to Adam, panic grappling inside her. What was that? Probably just the storm, he murmured, yet his voice dipped with uncertainty. The air grew colder. Mia shivered, her instincts yelling at her to run. I think we should leave. This house, there's something. But before she could finish, a shrill laugh echoed through the hallway. It was high-pitched and chilling, slicing the air like a blade. Mia's blood ran cold. The laughter twisted into a low growl, rumbling from within the walls of the house itself. The journal fluttered madly in her grip, as if alive, as if it held the key to an unspeakable horror. Suddenly, someone began to bang on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Who is that? Mia hissed, her eyes wide. What if it's... Stay here, Adam commanded, charging down the hall toward the door. But the chilling laughter continued, intertwining with the ominous thumping. It didn't let up. The knocking intensified, resonating through the house, vibrating the very foundations. It was frantic now, demanding, "Help me, let me in." Someone cried, deeper now yet familiar. Adam's hand hovered over the knob, doubt creeping in at the edges like smoke. Mia, he whispered, his voice trembling just slightly, the kind of tone that held danger. The laughing persisted. Mia felt her hands tremble, caught in the unending tempest of panic. Adam, don't open it, she shouted, rushing to his side, intent on yanking him back. What if it's a trap? What if we're not alone? No, he shouted, his determination spiking. We can't leave them out there. But as they stood there, that figure returned solid, more sinister than before. Its eyes glowed faintly against the encroaching darkness. And just when Adam turned to fully face it, the room plunged into darkness. Silence enveloped them. Breathless, Mia gripped Adam's arm, the icy void pressing against their skin. Do you see it? She whispered frantically. It's right behind you. But that was when the laughter erupted again, wrapping around the impossibility of their situation like a vice. Now lost in the swirling shadows, it dawned on her whatever they had awakened was not only alive. It was hungry. What if the house demanded payment for its secrets? Mia's pulse quickened as she realized they could still escape, but at what cost? The shadow lurked. The laughter echoed, as a low, guttural voice seeped from the darkness. Do you want to know what becomes of those who intrude? Time seemed to freeze. What choice would they make? Would they pay the price for knowledge, or flee before it was too late? The darkness was thick, smothering, wrapping around them like a living entity. Mia's heart raced as she strained to hear, feeling the breath of the abyss ghosting past her skin. Adam's grip tightened on her arm, the warmth of his touch a stark contrast to the icy void they found themselves in. Can you see anything? He whispered, his voice almost lost in the suffocating blackness. No, Mia stammered, her throat dry, panic constricting it further. I can't see anything, just the laughter. The chilling sound swirled around them, now echoing from 100 unseen mouths. It came from the walls, the floor, the very air. It seemed to pulse, a twisted heartbeat that grew louder, more frenetic. With a sudden rush, Adam yanked open the door beside them, desperate for light. The old wood creaked in protest, but when the door swung wide, it revealed nothing but a blank wall of night, as if they were stuck in some realm where time and space lost meaning. Mia could feel it before she could see it. The shadow burgeoned from the edges, a malevolent wave inching closer. It was hungry, a forked tongue flickering out in the void, tasting the air for their fear. We need to get out, she gasped, her voice trembling. Yet, instead of retreating, Adam stood frozen, eyes glazed as if mesmerized. I think it's trying to communicate," he murmured, utterly entranced. Mia pulled him hard, trying to break the spell, but the grip of night seemed to suck her in. "Adam, snap out of it." And then it happened. The shadow surged forward, transforming into a figure that loomed larger, darker, a grotesque parody of human form. "Your curiosity," it hissed, voice gravelly like stones tumbling in the dark, "will be your downfall." In that moment of recognition, the laughter morphed into panicked screams, distorted echoes of souls trapped in torment. Mia choked back a sob. What did we do? The revelation struck her, cold and sharp. They had woken something that should have slept. "Run!" Adam finally shouted, shaking off the enchantment, and somehow they both pivoted, sprinting down the corridor. The air sliced at their faces, the laughter chasing them, sinister and mocking. They burst into the living room, half expecting salvation, but instead found the room swirling in shadows that twisted around furniture like snakes. Mia's gaze darted to the journal, still lying on the coffee table, pages fluttering like a bird trying to escape a cage. "We need that. It might tell us how to stop this." "No time," Adam shouted. But Mia could hear a whisper and urgency woven in the pages, each word binding them to the past. "Find the heart, unlock the door, what if it holds the key?" She pressed, gripping his arm to stop him. Fear coursed through her, feeding the desperation. "Just a moment," he cried, and against the backdrop of terror, he dashed toward the table, snatched the journal and flipped it open. The words glowed faintly, revealing rituals and incantations, bizarre initiations that made her stomach turn. But before they could make sense of it, the walls trembled, fissures forming like jagged teeth. "We must move," Adam yelled, but it was too late. The darkness swelled, and they could sense it. The house itself was alive, outrage bubbling from its core. "No one escapes without paying the price." The entity screeched, and the very air crackled with worthlessness. Mia and Adam stumbled back, breath hitching, consumed by lethargy as shadows wrapped tighter around them. The whispers grew louder, the laughter turned to wails. "Give yourself," the house commanded, "or meet eternal torment." Mia felt the floor beneath her sway, the world tilting at an alarming angle, reality slipping through their fingers. What would they sacrifice? Would knowledge truly save them? As the chaos crescendoed, the journal slipped from Adam's hands, falling open to a page marked with a crude symbol, and a single phrase glared back at them: "Not all knowledge is meant to be known." What would happen next? Were they doomed to pay the price? Or would they find a way to turn the tide? The whispers crescendoed into a cacophony of anguish, drowning out thought as shadows twisted and twirled like frenzied dancers. Mia's hands trembled. Her heart slammed against her ribs like a desperate prisoner seeking escape. Out of the corner of her eye, she noted the journal, resting on the floor, its pages fluttering with raw energy, an open invitation to the abyss. Adam swayed, his breath shallow. "We have to understand," he panted, battling against the weight of the shadows clinging to him like cold hands. "What if we can harness it?" "Are you insane?" Mia snapped, pulling him away from the talon-like shadow creeping along the wall toward them. "This isn't just a thrill ride. We're stuck in a nightmare." But there was a spark in Adam's eyes, now caught between fear and fascination. His gaze was fixed on the journal, rising like a magnet drawing him in. "No, there's something we can unlock here. Please, it could lead us to safety." The walls trembled again, the room shifting as if it were a living, breathing creature, angered by their defiance. The laughter returned, louder, cruel and biting, echoing like a siren calling them to their doom. As Mia looked around, the shadows thrashed, contorting the furniture into grotesque shapes. A chair seemed to curl up, a table shivered like a frightened animal. "We don't have time," she screamed, panic slicing through her words. Adam was kneeling by the journal, fingers shaking as he traced the ancient script. "There's a chant here. If we can recite it, it might." "Do you really think that'll help?" Mia shouted, scanning the room for any escape. The house groaned, its very bones creaking with disapproval, as if it resented their presence. "Just give me a moment." He gritted his teeth, trigger fingers, lost in the past. The gaping maw of darkness seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Just as Adam began to whisper a line from the journal, the shadows surged toward him, summoned by the voice of the entity wailing from the depths of the house. All knowledge must have a toll. Give yourself. The atmosphere thickened with an ancient weight, dragging them toward despair. No, Mia yelled, rushing forward. But before she could reach him, the dark figure erupted from the shadows, a mass of twisted limbs and roaring visages. It loomed, eyes glinting like shards of glass. In a frantic push, Mia grabbed the journal, hoping its contents could anchor them, a lifeline in the storm. Focus on this, she cried, dragging it closer, desperate to evade the entity's grasp. There's something here, some warning. Adam's expression turned steely, as adrenaline finally broke through the fog of dark enchantment. No more games, he shouted, pulling himself to his feet with renewed determination. We need to fight back. It's not just a curse. It's a bond and invitation. Mia held the journal tightly, adrenaline coursing through her veins. So what do we do? Create a counter-ritual, he shouted over the torrent of shadow. If we can stand our ground, leverage the knowledge we have. But before they could speak any further, the shadows lunged, clawing toward them with a ferocity that thrummed through the room. The laughter twisted into screams of rage, and threads of darkness wrapped tighter around their ankles, dragging them toward the heart of the horror. Say the words, Adam yelled. He took a deep breath. Repeat after me. Before they could begin, a blast of icy air swept through the room, silencing them both momentarily. A whisper echoed in the void, cold and full of malice. You think you can escape? To unlock is to bind. As the laughter returned, mocking and echoing, they realized the weight of their dilemma. Would knowledge bring salvation or curse them further? Time was fleeting, and the walls began to collapse inward, forcing their choice. Would they utter the chant and risk the unknown, or succumb to the darkness clawing at their very souls? The shadows throbbed with life, and in that moment, the house seemed to breathe, a monstrous heart pulsating with waiting dread. What awaited them if they opened the jaws of that dark knowledge? Would they find freedom or the embrace of eternal confinement? The time to decide was upon them. Would they take the plunge, or would it be their last breath? The walls shook violently. Mia felt the tremors resonate through her bones, each jolt telling her they had run out of time. Adam's gaze was locked onto the journal, his lips moving as if possessed. The shadows circled around him now, a creeping mist swirling like smoke, eager to claim him. Adam, please, she screamed, but the sound barely pierced the cacophony of anguished cries enveloping them. With a sudden, fierce determination, Mia broke free from the shadow tendrils, forcing herself to Adam's side. We can't let this consume us. Come on. He looked up, the light in his eyes flickering. Mia, I can feel it. There's power in this. We can turn it against them. The lurking darkness pulsed, as though sensing their hesitation, and the laughter rose to a horrifying crescendo. You cannot control what you do not understand. It howled, each syllable laced with malice. Panic flooded Mia's system. We have to go. She clutched the journal, its pages fluttering wildly, threatening to tear from its spine. A warning, a plea. She felt it deep down, like a heartbeat echoing through her. Just trust me, Adam said, his voice steadying. We have to complete the chant together. It might work. Mia's resolve faltered. Could they really fight back? The specter loomed larger, stretching its distorted fingers toward them. Every twisted feature screamed of their impending doom. Adam gripped her arm, the warmth of his skin grounding her with urgency. We do this or we die here. Together, Mia. She nodded, fighting against the panic that clawed at her throat. They stood firm, chests heaving, shoulders squared against the onslaught. Okay, she said, the word bursting forth as a desperate vow. What's the first line? Beneath the dark of night, we call forth the light. His voice rang out, a battle cry amidst the chaos. Mia echoed, her heart pounding, the fear morphing into something fierce. The shadows hesitated, recoiling as if struck. Speak the truth, Reveal the shade. Adam continued, and they chanted together, the rhythm of their voices intertwining against the chaos. The shadows writhed, convulsing in anger, yet they pressed on. From the depths of boundless dark, we ignite the sacred spark. With those words, a blinding flash illuminated the room. The shadows shrieked, disintegrating around them like ashes caught in a tempest. For a moment, it felt like they had the upper hand, their voices slicing through the oppressive gloom. Come on, Mia shouted as they reached the crucial line. We're almost there. Expose the lies, we stand our ground. But the moment they spoke those words, the room froze. The laughter faded into a low growl, a warning that washed over the two of them, chilling to the bone. Suddenly, the foundation of the house groaned ominously. A piercing voice filled the air, cold and sharp. You dare summon courage against the dark? You've awakened a hunger. The ground heaved violently beneath them. The flickering light from their incantation blinked, flickering like a dying star. As the shadows shrieked, something monstrous clawed at the barrier made by their chant. Desperate to break through, then, without warning, the entire house trembled, walls bending inward like the jaws of a great beast. The shadows encircled Adam and Mia, churning with rage, eager to exact vengeance for their defiance. Keep going, Adam yelled, as tremors rattled their bodies. But Mia could feel it, the stifling grip of despair weighing them down, the shadows beckoning them to surrender. The words began slipping from her mind, drowning in panic. Adam, but he was gone. His voice cut off as the shadows surged forward, engulfing him. No, Mia screamed, reaching for him as the darkness pulled him deeper into its embrace. Then she was alone, the laughter now a haunting echo teasing her, wrapping tighter around her body like a serpent ready to strike. Was this the end? If Adam vanished into the shadows, could she summon the strength to carry on alone? As the darkness encroached, Mia felt her breath hitch. Below the suffocating weight of despair, a thought took hold she couldn't give up. Not now. Rallying her strength, she opened the journal and found the next line. What had they unleashed? Would the knowledge they sought free Adam, or seal their fate in the house's darkness forever? Mia's fingers trembled as they skimmed the page. The words blurred under a haze of panic. Fear is the gate, and the gate is wide, the phrase scratched at her mind. What did it mean? She gazed around, expecting the shadows to pounce at any moment. For Adam, for us, she whispered, trying to gather focus among the chaos. The shadows loomed higher, stretching toward her like jagged teeth. She felt the chill seep into her skin. Fear is a choice, she read. Conquer it to quell the abyss. She could almost hear Adam's voice, urging her on with fervor. Where was he now? In that dark void, had he given in? Would she? No, she said, grounding herself. Mia breathed deep, feeling the pangs of dread start to lift. Against the endless onslaught of whispers urging her to join them, she clutched the journal tighter. I won't let you take me. The shadows seemed to falter, recoiling slightly as if sensing her newfound determination. Courage surged within her, pushing the fear aside, if only for a moment. Come on, Mia, she muttered, forcing herself to sound strong. You know this, you know this. Speak the name, restore the bond. The shadows roared in response, their voices like nails scraping against metal. The ground shook beneath her again, mocking her attempts to reclaim her strength. Adam, she yelled, her voice echoing through the great hall. For a heartbeat, silence blanketed the chaos. The air thickened, as though the house itself paused to listen. Then, from the depths of the darkness, a faint echo returned, barely above a whisper. Mia, her heart raced as relief flooded her. Adam, where are you? Trapped deeper, his voice trembled through the shadows. There was pain there, a plea for save him. You must finish it. The power he seeks, it's tied to the truth. The shadows shuddered violently, lashing and contorting around her. You are too late. You will join him in the dark. No. Nameless anger bubbled up within her. Not without a fight. Mia flung open the journal and scanned the lines. Reveal the truth and shatter the lie. Adam, I need you. Say the words with me. We can break this. A pulse of silvery light sparked from the text, illuminating the void for the briefest moment. The shadows screeched, a cacophony of fury and desperation, trying to drown her out. Together. We have to do this together. She closed her eyes, forcing the connections to resurface in her mind, like cobwebs slowly forming in shadows. I need your voice, Adam. No. The darkness hissed, a swirling mass attempting to suffocate her spirit. He belongs to us now, not while there's breath in my body. She shouted back, defiance thrumming through her veins. She could almost hear Adam, could feel him fighting against the darkness that threatened to consume him. Under the dark of night, they began together, their voices rising, a fragile bond forming between them. We call forth the light. As they chanted, something began to shift, an inner glow ignited like a flare. The shadows convulsed violently, their immense form wavering like smoke caught in a gale. Mia could picture Adam out there, holding on to the chant as if it were a lifeline, waiting for her to reach him. Speak the truth, reveal the shade. The darkness shuddered intensely, black tendrils lunged at her, attempting to claw back the energy they were summoning. She could feel defeat creeping in, yet she pressed harder. Adam's voice intertwined with hers, drawing up strength from the depths. Expose the lies. We stand our ground. Suddenly there was a gut-wrenching gasp. Mia. Adam. But then, chilling silence enveloped her. Had she lost him? Or had he stepped into the light she was reaching for? Her pulse raced. Could she finish this alone? With terror gripping her heart, she read the next line from the journal. Fear can consume you, or you can consume your fear. Would she let the darkness win? Adam. She pushed the words out like arrows, aiming for the heart of the shadows. If you're there, I will not let you drown. Suddenly, the book trembled in her hands, words blurring into darkness. What was that? Did the shadows sense their impending doom? Or was something even more sinister awakening? She had opened the door, but what if the truth she sought held more terror than the dark could ever muster? The darkness shuddered around Mia, vibrating with a strange intensity that felt almost alive. The air thickened, weighing heavy on her chest, as if every breath demanded a price. Her heart drummed like a war cry in her ears. She gripped the journal tighter, fighting the overwhelming urge to collapse under the weight of dread. Consume your fear, she murmured, the words echoing in her mind. What did that mean? Could she really turn her dread against itself? The thought was intoxicating and terrifying all at once, a flicker of empowerment lurking beneath the chaos. The shadows pulsed with frustration, recoiling in a frenzy. You don't understand, they shrieked. You cannot confront what you do not recognize. Then I'll recognize it, she shouted, drawing from deep wells of courage that felt foreign yet familiar. I will face whatever this is. She raised the journal like a shield and closed her eyes, the insistent whispers washing over her a tempest of torment. You're lost, you're alone, he has gone and oh. She screamed, her voice snapping through the void like a gunshot. I'm not alone. A strange stillness fell. The murmurs hesitated, aware of her resolve. For one fleeting moment, the shadows retreated, leaving her standing in a bubble of silence, like a lighthouse amidst a tempest. Relief washed over Mia, but it was quickly washed away by the cold grasp of reality. Adam, she called again, battling the darkness. Can you hear me? The journal seemed to hum against her chest, vibrating with energy, as if Adam was reaching for her too, still tethered to life through their connection. Speak the words, came a faint whisper, possibly from Adam or perhaps from the shadows, and unleash the truth. Mia opened her eyes, staring determinately at the trembling surface of the journal. The words glowed softly, illuminating her surroundings when she spoke them with urgency. I face you, darkness. I confront my fears. The shadows writhed, hissing, retreating like smoke before a roaring fire. Taking a deep breath, Mia continued, now emboldened. I consume you. I am stronger than you. A cruel wind swept through the hall, nearly knocking her off balance as claws of darkness lashed out at her. A frigid tendril snaked around her ankle, pulling her towards the floor. Panic surged through her. "No!" she shouted, a visceral plea that clashed against the shadows. "I reject this." Suddenly, a blinding light exploded from the pages. It erupted like a supernova, and Mia shielded her eyes, feeling warmth spread through her body, engulfing the cold tendrils. The shadows screeched, their anguished cries blending with the howl of the wind, creating a maddening cacophony. "Mia, hold on." Adam's voice thundered from the depths, now stronger. She could visualize him out there, entangled in the darkness, but fighting with every ounce of his being. With renewed determination, she stepped forward. "Adam, I'm coming." She dropped to her knees before the swirling mass and clutched the journal tightly, anchoring herself. "Together, we conjure the light." As their voices rose, the shadows recoiled in horror, throwing waves of despair and fury toward her, trying to swallow her whole. "You must understand the truth," they screamed, desperation clawing at their words, frantic to hold onto their belonging. "What truth?" Mia pressed on, defiance rising even higher. "All I know is the truth of love." In that moment, the journal's light flared brighter, illuminating a path through the chaotic spectral abyss. Dark figures emerged, twisting between the shadows' smiling faces and anguished gazes. Lost souls that had once inhabited the house, clinging to their memories. "Help us," they wailed in collective unison, reaching out with skeletal hands towards the light. "Free us from the dark." A shiver ran down Mia's spine. This was more than her own fear. It reached into the very heart of the house. "This isn't just about Adam," she realized, her voice steady. "It's about all of you." The shadows lashed at her again, but the light strengthened. "In unity, we rise against the night." As she chanted fiercely, the tendrils retracted further, the light swallowing them whole. Yet there, on the edge of the bright circle, she caught sight of a flickering shadow that didn't fade. Twisted and turned, determined to stay. What was that? Mia's heart raced. Was part of the darkness still clinging to its hold? "Do not rest, Mia. Finish this," Adam implored, urgency thick in his voice. Fear surged once more, mingling with determination. She had to confront it, whatever it was. "Who are you?" she shouted into the tempest, eyes fixed on the flickering shadow. But the answer swirled away, just beyond her reach, leaving behind an ominous whisper that echoed within her. Not all truths are meant to be faced. Mia's breath hitched as dread seeped back in. What lay waiting beyond this fight? The shadows thrashed wildly, their desolation thickening like fog, pulling Mia into a world of murky terror. With each pulse, the flickering shadow drew closer, weaving in and out of her peripheral vision. Heart pounding, she pressed her hands to her temples, forcing the voices from the journal into focus. "Recognize the fear," she chanted under her breath, though the words felt like thorns in her throat. "Face it, consume it." She hesitated, glancing around. The glow of the journal seemed to pulsate in sync with her heartbeat, creating a rhythm that almost drowned out the relentless whispers. "Help us." The lost souls continued, but their plea twisted in her mind. It transformed into 1,000 brushes of cold fingers against her skin, threatening to pull her into the void. Her breath quickened, claws of panic gripping her throat as she turned back to the foreboding shadow. "What do you want from me?" Silence hung thick in the air, momentarily stilling the chaos. The flickering shadow stilled, its form sharpening into something almost recognizable. "Mia," it hissed. The voice had a haunting familiarity, echoing through the chamber like a ghostly melody. "Adam?" She squinted, the light from the journal flickering as she searched the depths of darkness. "Is that you?" A laugh echoed, low and twisted. It didn't carry the warmth she craved. It wrapped around her like a serpent, slithering into her mind. "You think you can just confront the darkness like a child playing with matches?" "Mia," the voice surged again, this time accompanied by a chorus of tormented whispers. "You need to see what lies at the roots of your fear." "No," she cried out, shaking her head violently. "I won't give in." But the flickering shadow drew nearer, the edges melding into the whispers, curling around her mind like creeping tendrils. You're not strong enough to deny the truth of loss of regret. Images flooded her thoughts, moments lost, the last laughter shared with Adam, that final goodbye before everything darkened. Mia staggered, her vision blurring. She blinked fiercely, breaking free from their grasp. I won't let you win. With every ounce of will, she focused on the glowing journal, demanding more light. The pages erupted, illuminating everything around her in stark clarity. The voices shrieked in agony as the brightness began to scald the shadows. Mia lifted the journal high. You will not take me, she roared, determination returning with searing intensity. The shadows recoiled, spiraling into themselves, swirling violently as they fought against the light. Consume your fear. The journal rumbled, urging her forward. Let the truth arise. All at once, the pulsating darkness surged, rearing back with wrath. The flickering shadow lunged toward her, its form now distinctly resembling Adam, but twisted, distorted. Mia, don't. In that moment, his face was raw agony, pleading. You have to wake up. Wake up, she echoed, her heart now hammering in her chest. The ground trembled beneath her as the very walls of the house began to shudder and howl. Wake up and see. He yelled over the roar, the shadows clawing at him. You're still here. Wild panic ignited inside her. What did he mean? Before she could think, a chilling realization dawned on her. What if waking up was not just rousing from a nightmare, but confronting a far more devastating reality? Mia's pulse quickened. What do you mean? But the shadow Adam began to fade, his eyes full of sorrow. You need to make a choice, Mia. His voice broke, a desperate whisper entwined with the cacophony. Face the truth before it devours you. No, she gasped, pinning the journal tight against her heart, the light pulsating faintly with her fear, a heartbeat of its own. But before she could act, shadows erupted again, encircling her completely, their malevolence coiling around her tight. Mia gritted her teeth, feeling the weight of choice crash over her. What truth? She screamed into the dark, but the only reply was the shuddering silence that enveloped her. Dread seeped into the corners of her mind. The flickering shadow remained, a dark embodiment of her deepest fears. What choice did she have now? As she stared into its soulless depths, Mia realized that this was only the beginning, a darkness she had yet to fully understand. What sacrifices awaited her? In the distance, the familiar echo returned, more menacing than before. Not all truths are meant to be faced, and behind her, the light of the journal dimmed dangerously low. What terrifying revelation lay just ahead? Mia's breath came in shallow gasps. The shadows tightened around her, their clinging fingers chilling her skin. Moments passed like hours as the darkness pulsed before her, mocking her desperation. The weight of Adam's words echoed in her ears. You need to make a choice. But what choice? What could she possibly choose that wouldn't lead to annihilation? Stand firm, the journal urged, its glow flickering like a distressed heartbeat. Mia clutched it tighter, but the light was waning, the shadows pressing closer, hungry for her resolve. Her heart raced as fear threatened to spiral out of control. What are you? She shouted, her voice choked with panic. Why are you doing this? The shadow, now taking on a more grotesque version of Adam, sneered at her. You seek the truth? Then embrace what you fear. You tread the line between memory and darkness. The choice is yours. His eyes gleamed with malice, and with every pulse of the shadows, Mia could feel pieces of her hope fragmenting. Embrace what I fear, she whispered to herself, the thought igniting something deep within her. She remembered those moments she had buried, the guilt, the anger, the screams left unanswered. Every emotion felt like a stone in her gut, pulling her deeper into despair. Suddenly, memories surged forth, vivid and sharp. She saw Adam's smiling face subtly fading as the reality of his absence crashed over her like a tidal wave. I can't, she screamed into the void, her fists tightening around the journal. Why not? The figure taunted, the whispers around her mingling with laughter that sent shivers down her spine. Do you not want to know the depths of your own being? The true cost of your regret? Face it, Mia. You wanted to forget, to bury the truth. But here it is waiting for you. Stop, she cried, the anger spilling over. Stop playing games with me. Her pulse thundered in her ears as she felt the shadows swell, clawing at her resolve. Then the air shifted. A low rumble surged beneath her feet, vibrating through her bones. Mia felt a flicker of warmth beneath her fingers, an ember of light from the journal ignited. Consume your fear? She echoed, the words sparking her defiance. You think you can control me with shadows? You think you can scare me into submission? The shadows writhed in response, but something shifted inside her. What if fear is just a part of me? Mia challenged, her voice rising. What if it doesn't define who I am? With a sudden force, she thrust the journal forward, feeling the power coursing through its pages. The light exploded, pouring into the room like liquid fire. The shadows screamed, a cacophony of regrets wrapped in fury, and they recoiled as the warmth engulfed them. Face it, Mia, the distorted figure of Adam howled, melting into the brilliance. Face your truth. Mia stood firm, her voice cutting through the chaos. Then I will face the truth. But even as she embraced the light, the shadows clawed back, their cold fingers grasping at her legs, trying to drag her down into the abyss. The light flickered, threatening to dim once again. Help us, the voices wailed, and amid their tortured cries, she felt the pull of the truth, the terror of her own heart, the memories that shaped her reality. Just then, the light swelled, illuminating an entrance in the darkness. It was barely a fracture, but the promise of escape shimmered temptingly on the other side. Mia, a chorus of whispers swirled around her. Choose, choose. But with every ounce of fear and defiance twisting in her gut, she knew one truth was unavoidable. In this moment of choice, whatever she embraced would not just change her, but could consume her entirely. The shadows thrashed violently, wailing in fury as the light flickered and dimmed. What will you choose? They taunted, their voices a raging tempest as the darkness writhed around her. Mia could feel the weight of the moment, a chasm of impossibility edging closer. And at that precipice, she took a breath, ready to leap into the unknown. What lay beyond that fracture? Would it be the freedom she yearned for or the horror she dreaded? In that split second, everything hung in the balance. And then, just as she was about to take that step, lights exploded in a blinding flash, rendering her world into a blizzard of white. What terrifying reality waited beyond the veil? The blinding light enveloped Mia completely, erasing her surroundings. She felt weightless, as if suspended in time. In that moment, thoughts swirled in her mind like autumn leaves caught in a turbulent wind. Adam, the shadows, the rituals, everything coalesced into one singular realization. They had to break the cycle of fear. The light dimmed gradually, and she stood at the threshold of a vast, empty expanse. A radiant figure emerged from the glow. It was Adam. His outline seemed ethereal, but his eyes bore the familiar warmth she longed for. Mia, you did it, he exclaimed, relief spilling from his voice as he reached for her. You faced the darkness. Is this real? She murmured, breath hitching in disbelief. Are you really here? He stepped forward, shimmering in the soft radiance. Yes, but we have to act fast. That wasn't just a confrontation with the dark. It was a choice. The house feeds on our fear and regret. We have to destroy it together. Mia felt a rush of energy. Together, she repeated, nodding fiercely. With the journal in her hands, she felt its power coursing through her veins. What do we do? For every dark shadow, there is a light to counter it, Adam replied. It's time to end this. We need to create a bond, a protection against the shadows that continue to haunt us. Mia's heart thudded in her chest, an electric buzz coursing through her like wildfire. How? Focus, Adam said, his voice steady. We draw from our memories the good ones we cherished. Your love for me, the laughter we shared, everything that brings you light. Join your light with mine. The shadows loomed, constantly wailing just beyond their glowing sanctuary. Mia closed her eyes, digging deep into her soul. Memories flooded back their first date, the chaotic laughter, whispered secrets shared under the stars. And in the midst of darkness, those moments flickered like candles, igniting new strength. "I'm not afraid anymore," she shouted, voice ringing clear against the echoes of despair. "We're stronger together." Adam smiled, incandescent joy glimmering in his eyes. "Yes. Let the truth of our bond burn through the shadows." Together, they channeled their energy into the journal. The pages glowed brighter than ever, words leaping into the air like fireworks, illuminating the darkness. "For all the lost souls," Mia cried, grounding her fear into a mighty roar. "We'll break the cycle." In an instant, tendrils of darkness lashed outward, thrashing against the brilliance, but the light held firm, twisting the very nature of shadows into something nearly palpable. "Remember what they did," Adam urged, their energy swirling around them. "We reclaim our future. We don't give in." "Together," Mia echoed. They spoke in unison, voices intertwining in an ancient chant, harmonizing energies like a powerful river crashing against its banks. The structure of the house trembled, echoes of anguish entwining with their resolve. With a deafening roar, the shadows coiled and shrieked, desperately clawing at the light but failing to penetrate its brilliance. This was their moment. With one final surge, they thrust the journal forward, unleashing every ounce of their love, every joyful memory. The world erupted in radiance, blasting away the darkness, scattering it like ashes in the wind. The entity howled once more, but its cries drowned in the brilliance of their truth. And then, silence enveloped them, tangible and complete. Mia opened her eyes, finding herself and Adam standing in the living room, transformed. Light flooded the space, illuminating its faded corners like a long-forgotten dream returning to life. The oppressive weight had lifted, leaving only warmth and relief. Trembling with disbelief, she turned, staring wide-eyed at the walls devoid of their scars. We actually did it. We faced it," Adam responded, holding her tight. "And that's what matters. We learned that we have to meet our fears head-on, not just for ourselves but for those who came before us." Mia beamed at him, a sense of resilience blooming deep within her chest. "This house will be our home again. We can rebuild it, layer by layer. We'll fill it with light." The corners of his mouth turned up in that familiar smile, and the sound of their laughter echoed through the halls, chasing away the remnants of shadows. As they ventured outside into the sunlight pouring over Maplewood, they paused, hand in hand. The weight of the past had shifted, and what lay ahead was fresh and uncharted. They could feel the energy circulating, promises of healing, laughter, and connection echoing in their hearts. Mia looked back at their house, no longer just a structure, but a sanctuary, a place reborn from the chaos, filled with love and newfound strength. Just then, a soft breeze whispered through the yard, brushing against her cheek. It felt like the world was telling her the shadows would always lurk, but they had learned how to fight back. They walked forward into their future, leaving the darkness behind together. Now, before you go, here's the deal. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support for our journey. And seriously, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. I'm dying to hear what you all think. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us build a community that's ready for the thrill of what's next.